So welcome to today's interview. My name is Stephanie Quinn, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Toon Boom. I'm really happy to have the opportunity today to speak with two executives from an animation studio called Mint. Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about the studio, the type of productions they work on, and we're going to hear a little bit about their impressions of Producer 20. Producer 20 is new to the market. Mint was a beta client who helped us develop the product that's currently in the market. So we want to learn a little bit more about what their impressions are, how they were able to use the platform in different types of productions, and kind of go from there. So welcome, everybody. I was hoping maybe we could start with some introductions, just to understand a little bit more about who each of you are, what your roles are at Mint, and what got you into animation.
All right, thank you. Hi, Stephanie. My name is Brice Poisson. I am the CEO of Mint. We founded the studio with a French partner about 5 years ago, no, 2014, 6 years ago. And we started animation just 3 years ago, anniversary actually at the MIPCOM, when we signed our first deal with Toon Boom to buy 100 Harmony licenses and 20 Storyboard Pro licenses. So that's it for me.
Hi, Stephanie. It's nice to meet you guys. My name is Mema Sachdeva, and I head the production at Mint. I've been with Mint since 2017, pretty much since animation started. I come from a VFX 3D background, having spent a few years, about 7 or 8 years as an artist, and then moving into production. But I have to say, 2D is really challenging, and it's been so interesting to see the way Harmony takes 3D aspects and works it with the 2D aspect of animation. So, and I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for that intro. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about Mint and what makes you guys different. It's so exciting that you're seen as a little bit of a new studio, but you're also really progressive in the softwares you're choosing to work with. So you guys started just a few years ago, and tell us a little bit more about some of your animators and what really is differentiating you in the market.
So the start at Mint was always to be as the first studio in terms of quality. We had achieved that in comic books. We were working for all the majors in Europe. And when we got interested into getting into 2D animations, it was to be working on Toon Boom, because we saw that there was an ecosystem, there was something interesting. It was taking animation to a new level. So we took that project as being a startup, not as being a service provider at the beginning. So we rented a big facility, about 10,000 square feet, with the training room, about 25 seats, and we started training guys who were Flash animators and basically converting them to Harmony. They were really happy. We had the good fortune of having full support from Toon Boom. So they sent us a couple of trainers, and it really started paying dividends very early. We also hired Koen Reinards, who is our animation director from Belgium, a really strong veteran. I would say he's got 40 years of experience in animation, started on paper as an artist. And he's at a point in his life where giving back to the artist is actually what he wants to do. So he's a great mentor. He spends a lot of time teaching, and he's also really precise. And I would say his experience in Asia allows him to be connected to our artists, but also not to lose his cool if things don't go according to the plan sometimes. And the third big point I would say about the artist is that the goal for Mint is to be the first studio to reach the 50-50 artist balance between men and women. We have not been able to achieve that goal yet, but we are closer each month. And we are right now at 60-40, 60% men, 40% women. And I think it makes a great team. Like the ambience in the studio is chilled out. It's not like macho dynamic going on. And also different sorts of point of views, and it's great. I would say as far as the projects are concerned, at the beginning we had the big chance of securing a preschool show after 3 months of existence. Actually, without doing a test, even just because we had Koen on board. The guy knew Koen, and like, if you have this guy on board, I'll give you the show. So we did the show. It went really well, and it was a great visiting card for us. Then we had a couple of gigs here and there, one episode left and right. And I would say our second big opportunity was working on Green Eggs and Ham. We did a little bit of subcontracting work there, and finally, I would say the really big one was last year when we got a contract to work on Central Park. That's now screening on Apple TV, and I've been really proud of the girls and the guys at the studio, because I don't know that many 2-year-old studio that secured that kind of contract. And we did it, and it was very interesting, because we did everything possible to set up a really, I would say, edgy cutout animation studio in India, and that was traditional. So it was not at all what we were supposed to do at the beginning, but we were like, all right, we can't say no to that, so let's do it. And it's great. So we've been very fortunate.
That's very exciting, and it's really interesting too, this split. How does it work between France and India? Are you guys in both different areas geographically? And what was the effect with regards to this global pandemic that everyone is living with? Do you think that gave you an advantage?
I think somewhere it did. See, I am the only one traveling back and forth. The studio stays in India. But what happened is I was traveling just before the pandemic, and I mean before the lockdown in France. Actually, that happened a couple of weeks ahead of India. And when I got the call from a client who had I would say friends in good places, and he told me that, listen, in about a week's time, France is going to lock down. So I was like, ooh. So then right away we spoke with Mema, and we were like, how about we just start asking our clients if it's okay to work from home?
Yeah.
So we quickly reacted, and we started sending people home with their machines, and we managed to, in that way, keep 93% of the workforce working remotely from home. And for the little funny story, the last machines that we delivered were delivered with my bakery truck, because the roads were blocked. Cops were actually not letting anyone go. But I have another business in India, which is a pastry and bakery store. And this truck was allowed to run because we were serving food for people. So we got an IT manager to go on with the baker outfit to go and install machines into apartments. So it was funny, but we got it done.
Yeah.
Through the pandemic, we did this project, which is now on YouTube. It's called Roger et ses humains in French. And that was with Ellipse Anim. And at the end of the production, I met with the producers there, and they were like, we didn't say much, but we got really scared when the pandemic hit. And you guys, his testimonial, which is on our website, says it all. Like, they were really impressed by the professionalism and just being able to deliver, I would say, without any delay, without any cost being raised or anything. We just went through it. And that I must say thank you to Mema and to our IT team.
Yeah, that's a huge success in and of itself with everything that's going on right now in the world. To be able to know that you can move the studio in a week and still manage to get those productions out, that's amazing. So where do you guys see yourselves in the next 2 to 5 years? You've come really far in the first 3 or 4. Where do you see yourselves headed in the next 5? Like, what's the long-term goal?
5 years, I feel like it's like when you have this interview for a job, what do you think I'm doing in 5 years? Wow. I think the dream for us at Mint is to become an IP producer. I think we're doing good as a service studio. We are able to get the vision of our clients animated, but the dream is to be able to tell your own stories. I was raised by a single mother and 2 sisters, and I think it's interesting when you come from that kind of a setting. There are things to say. There's a lot, I mean, especially with now the pandemic, the global warming, all of the political issues that we see around the world. There's so much to say, and I feel that telling a story stays, especially if you hit the kids in the right place. So I think the first logical move would be to find like-minded people and co-produce, so that we can offset part of the risk and just not get lost in dreaming. And then if things go well, and once one understands and learns the rules and how to play the game of distribution, then yeah, definitely producing IP would be something we would want to look at.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what got you guys started using Producer? You had mentioned, for sure, we had the luxury of connecting with you guys for Harmony and Storyboard Pro, and with all the other challenges that were going on, you were like, hey, let's just throw in another software into the mix.
Yeah, it was actually scheduled to start right away. When we got the deal secured, on the invoice we had Producer as well, and at that point there was even the price on the invoice, and we got it installed, and very, very quickly we got a call from François, the president of Toon Boom, and basically the software was not yet ready. Would we be interested in keeping it? That would be for us to decide. But obviously the price got removed from the invoice, but it was more about what was interesting for us is, as a new studio, we were looking at, really partnering with Toon Boom and learning from Toon Boom, because I don't know jack about animation, honestly, and I thought that it was something new to India, and so we decided to try, and beyond just being a user of the software, I think being able to be part from day one into the development of it and seeing it take shape, I think Mema feels like it's a bit of a baby right now.
Yeah, a baby that I broke many a time.
Yeah, so yes, for sure, because the product has changed drastically over the past 2 years. So today, I know we're just hitting the market with it, and that's why we were so interested in speaking with you, because so few people at this point have seen the real change, and you guys got to see not only the first version, but really how far this latest version of Producer 20 has gone. So maybe we can speak a little bit to some of the benefits you've seen today with that new version, with regards to maybe some of the asset tracking and task management and things like that. Where you saw those jumps.
So to be honest with you, we've just recently, I mean, it's only been a week since we got the upgrade, but we have been using Producer extensively since day one. And we've pretty much worked very closely with the Producer team, especially JR and Vincent, on developing a lot of things. And we've seen all those changes. As a matter of fact, last week I had a call with them to run through what 20 had to offer, and it has a lot of the things that we discussed incorporated. So I'm really excited to be using it in future productions. And just to address the point, it's really nice to see a lot of reporting being done, which from a production standpoint helps just get an overview of where the shots are, which artists are doing well, which shots are doing well, to what extent the project is completed, and it's a very summarized manner of putting it together, which even a layperson, I put this in front of a board, and it doesn't require much explaining. It's just very straightforward, has graphical charts and things like that, so it's intuitive in that sense.
I can understand it. So she trained me in 5 minutes, filters, just because I wanted to know the status of the production, and yeah, 5 clicks and I can see what's going on.
Yeah, it's super user friendly. I think because I had used Tactic before, and Tactic was not very user friendly. It required a lot more in-depth understanding of what the program was. But here, I mean, I have new employees coming in. I just launched them out on the web browser with Producer. It's just a matter of a few clicks. You've got your task set up, you've got your production page. So it's just, and everything is right there in front of you. You've got a preview of the movie, you've got the notes that go with it, you have each task that is labeled out, who is responsible for the task, who's doing the task, what the status is. So it's very comprehensive and user friendly. So, and I'm hoping that 20 the new Producer is just going to help me even more in the production part of it. So far reviews, etc., have been handled really well, and they've got a couple more things that they're incorporating, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, I'm more excited about the reports now.
So how many people do you guys have using Producer right now?
It's pretty much the entire studio. So I'd say about 60 odd people.
That's a lot, just the same. And what are the typical profiles then? You'll have the animators and you have the directors, and everybody's on board.
Everybody's on board. I like the way Producer connects directly with Harmony. Most asset management softwares do, but considering that Producer is connected with the Toon Boom Harmony, it allows for a lot of different features that others may not. So artists really like it, that they can just use this one interface to do everything, including launch out their Harmony scene, render it out, put a note to say, okay, I'm done with this part, and then Koen, whether he's in India or he's in Belgium, he can just immediately have that show up real time, pops back a note with a quick visual, and it's there. So it saves a lot of time.
So have you guys produced many series now with Producer? Have you actually delivered the series being managed through Producer?
Since March 2017.
We've never used anything else. I mean, we did maybe some Excel at the beginning, but yeah, everything was on Producer.
So if you had to choose the top 2 benefits of using Producer, what would it be?
That's a difficult one.
I like to keep you on your toes, Mema. We're new
Yes.
friends. It's part of the fun.
Yes. Okay. Just I'd have to say 3 because I have to put the point forward of I think it's been absolutely wonderful to be able to collaborate on it and give a real-time feedback about what works and what doesn't work, and like I said, breaking things and then having them fixed and figuring that out has been really great. um, the reviewing part of Producer works really well because you have there's no question about whether it's the latest file or what, because the render happens and you have a preview right there. It's the latest file. They've introduced new points to also give you they've given you a way to also step back through the versions, which is also beneficial. So I think the review tools that they have are really, really great. And I think just the usability of it, the way it's easily usable, like
If I
it's
may,
very user friendly and works.
yeah, sorry to I cut you a bit in the middle. I
No.
said for me the biggest point, I only have one, but that's the one that I think makes the difference, is the transparency. I can open my laptop. I can even create credential for my client, and he can see in real time what's happening in our studio. There's been a lot of problems sometimes with overseas studios like ours, and that's always been a challenge for us to prove that we are trustworthy. Is how can a client in LA know what's really happening and when? Well, with Producer, we've been able to do that. So we can send them, we can create their credential, and they can see which artist does what and what are the notes. So sometimes it can backfire because we can tell them, like, please wait, the notes are coming. Once we have the notes on, then you can see that it's going to be attended to. But it's great. At least they can see that things are moving forward in the right direction, and that's, for me, that's the biggest asset. It's to cement the trust between us and our clients.
Amazing. Well, I think that was the last question that I had for today. Thank you so much for being here with us, guys. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate your testimonial and your firsthand experience with the platform. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's been good.